welcome back. It's good to see you. Doing another lesson today on songwriting tips, and we're going to break down one of my songs called Creedmoor today. All right, and in case you haven't seen the other ones, what I'm doing is shedding some light on how I write my songs with the purpose of helping you write your songs. You can take some of these ideas, some of these tips, and use them to write yours. I know if you Google or YouTube how to write a song, there's information out there, but some of it's, if you've never really written one, it's kind of nice to see how songs are written so you can use some of those. All right, so we're going to do Creedmoor. Now this song was written in a few different forms over the years. I've been trying to write something kind of like this, and it came out in not so great ones and fragmented songs, and then finally one day I was writing and all these ideas finally just all fit together and I wrote a song. Like, if you've been writing for a while, you probably have fragmented songs, pieces of songs, and this is one of those ones that just kind of like 2 or 3 different songs I had just kind of finally came to life, if that makes sense. And it's called Creedmoor. This is another song about my youth in the land of the South down in North Carolina, Creedmoor, North Carolina. And not a lot, but quite a few of my songs talk about those teenage years, and this is definitely one of those. All right, and it's taken from the perspective looking back at that time and saying how that will always be my home, even though I'm so far away. I'm back in upstate New York, been back here now for almost 20 years. But it was me looking back on that time and what I got from that place and how will always be like my home and my heart. Okay? So this one's in a key of G, but the verses I actually borrow a flat 7, so it's more of like a Mixolydian sound. Like I said, I don't want to get too deep into theory in these lessons. I have lessons on theory, but on these, I just kind of want to be able to help beginner writers write. So what I'm doing, key of G, as we all know, well, that's one of the prerequisites. You don't have to know theory, but it's good to know what chords are in what key, especially if you're in a cover band. It's going to help you a lot. You can sit in when someone says play a 1, 5, 6, 4 in G, you know you're going to play a G, D, E minor, C. It's really helpful. And if you know your scales, pentatonic, major, natural, minor, and then your modes, Ionian, Dorian, Phrygian, Lydian, Mixolydian, local, all that really opens up your your toolbox, basically, is what they are. I know there's a guy watching, is like, you don't need to know theory to be a good guitarist, and you don't. I've played with many guitarists. Majority of them don't understand any theory. They're phenomenal players. But if you understand theory, it's just more tools you can use to create and build something. And as I said in my last video, if you hear a noise, my wife has a chicken down here. It doesn't get along with the other one, so she's babysitting it in the house. You might hear it scratching, clucking, making all sorts of chicken noise. But it's just Ginger is her name. If you hear, don't mind. But I want to get these videos knocked out for you so you can take some stuff away from this, okay? All right, so Creedmoor, key of G, but I do have an F chord in there, which is typically, it's not in the key of G. It's more of a key of C, but this is definitely a key of G song. Okay, so what we do is I started, when I was writing this, as I said earlier, I had a few different songs, and this came out of those. They just started, I had a few songs I started writing, 2 or 3, I think 3, and they just were not getting finished. They didn't feel right, and I came out, one day I was playing this progression with the solo, messing around with my looper, and I'm like, I really like that, and I started pulling those other songs and piecing them together, and this song came out. So what I did was G to start off with. This is why I looped on my looper. I looped at G, F, C, add 9, G progression. And what I was playing over was, which is kind of an Allman Brothers feel. And I was just playing around soloing over that progression. I'm like, I like that progression. And so I started writing this. And like I said, that F is typically, it's very, it's a 1, 7, 4, 1. Very, it's almost like a Sweet Home Alabama kind of progression, but not. I don't want to get too deep into theory, but you're getting a flattened seventh. All right, and then a pre-chorus. I was like, where do I go from there? Because this is one of the songs I put a pre-chorus in. And what it does is, it goes around a few times for the verse. To the chorus. That's the pre-chorus. And what I'm doing there is, because I ended on the verses on a G, I'm going to play through an F, C, and back to a G. And I go to an A, which is going up a step, and I walk up from a B to a C. So I'm going G, A, quick B to the C, to a G, and a D. Do the same thing again. Upward motion, and then I fall back all the way to the E minor. And then from that D to a D7. Gives it even more tension to want to fall back to that G for the chorus. And on that pre-chorus, what I'm doing is you got an A minor to a C, and I do that little B note as I walk up, G, and D. And I do the exact same thing, but what I do the second time is I switch the G out for its relative minor, the E minor. And I do. Because they both function in the same way, but it gives it a different feel. It's like kind of walking up, and then the second time kind of falls and then comes up. It's just a feeling and a direction of motion when you're creating. All right, and then that D. I go to a D7, which gives it a really bluesy kind of feel, and then it resolves nicely back to the G. So the chorus is 1, 5, 6, 4, like every other song. Does that 3 times. Last times, back to the verse. Very classic rock sound and very southern rock sound, and using that flat and seventh, the F chord instead of a F sharp diminished. You're just using a straight up power chord. You can do a major. That's what I'm doing. All right, so it's key of G, but I am for the verses using that Mixolydian part of it. All right, and doesn't change it. I mean, that's pretty much it. That's your verse, your pre-chorus, and a chorus. So it's 3 different progressions in this song. And what the lyrics were, basically the verses, the first one was, life was so simple when we were young, back home in Creedmoor, just kids having fun, blonde hair and blue eyes, so sweet to me, faded like love does, now memories. So I'm looking back on that time of my life when I was just a teenager in Creedmoor having fun with my friends and blonde hair, blue eyed girls. You know, the South, the girl I dated, she was in another song. Same mention, just blonde hair and blue eyes. And then, but it faded like love does, because young love always fades away, and now they're just memories. All right, let's see. Verse 2, Bert's old Camaros, he had a few, running them dirt roads, nights until 2. Me and that old Ford running the streets, blue lights and bandits chased after me. And what that's about is my buddy Bert, he had a bunch of Camaros. He had, over a few years, he had a couple different Camaros. We'd run all over God's creation, from Raleigh, Durham, Wake Forest, Creedmoor, all over the place in this Camaro, just driving around. All over them red dirt roads down south, learning how to drive, staying out late. I had a Ford Ranger. That's why me and that old Ford running the streets, blue lights and bandits. When I was 17, I ran from the cops in my Ford Ranger, wrecked the car, wrecked a cop car. 7 cops chased me. It was an adventure, and that's what that verse is about. And then the pre-chorus, that A, that part that builds up, is when I'm so far from the land that I love, tobacco and red dirt will flow in my blood. There still flows in my blood. I sing it either way. It depends on how I'm feeling. So when I'm so far from the land that I love, tobacco and red dirt still flows in my blood. So saying no matter where I am, that's still in my heart. Creedmoor is still my home. And then the chorus brings it all home. Take me back home, down to the south, back to the place where I learned about Jesus and love, catfish and fate. Creedmoor's my home when I'm so far away. And it's pretty straightforward. I was first saved and baptized in '94 in Creedmoor. So I learned about Jesus there, a lot of catfishing with buddies. And it's always going to be a part of me in my home. And I mean, that's pretty much the song. So it's a Southern song. It's about my home from the South, my adopted home. And that's why that G, I feel that chord progression has that Marshall Tucker, Skinner kind of, that Mixolydian 7 in there. Down to the south, back to the place where I learned about Jesus and love, catfish and fate. Creedmoor's my home when I'm so far away. I mean, that's the gist of the whole song. My solo, it's like an Allman Brothers kind of. I don't have a specific solo. It's kind of a jam, Allman Brothers-y feel over that G, F, C chord progression, and I usually work around that G pentatonic. And you technically could. Because if it's G Mixolydian, just the fifth of C, you could do technically like a G Mixolydian, which is C Ionian. I keep saying this, I don't want to get too much into theory, but I don't really have a solo for this one. It's meant to be more of a freestyle jam for whoever guitarist is in a band to jam on, or me, or back and forth. It kind of keeps it fun, and I'm not always about structured perfect solos. I like to the Frank Zappa approach. I know how much time I have, as he said. This is a quote from Frank Zappa, not me. I know how much time I have, and it's me against the laws of nature, and I have an idea what I'm going to play, but I don't know what I'm going to play until it comes out. Like that's paraphrasing what he said, and I love that approach when I play live. So, yeah, that's Creedmoor. Hope some of this is able to help you write your songs and get your voice out there. So, I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.